Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and I must say that these beautiful PNSO minifigure reviews are about to get pretty sad because this is the second to last review I have for these figures. Unfortunately, there is only one more set of 3, and then we will officially be done all 48 of these minifigures. So, even though there is some sad news there right around the corner, we still get to look at some awesome figures here today. First, we've got Xana the Wuerhosaurus, then we've got Lans the Ampelosaurus, and I think that would be Seia, I'm not really sure, the Majungasaurus. So again, we're not following any kind of a theme as far as these figures go, because we are at the point now where there aren't really enough figures to pick a theme, and we're just gonna get what's left. So 3 totally different types of dinosaurs, but 3 very beautiful looking figures. We've of course got the habitat there in the background of the Wuerhosaurus, and there is the Ampelosaurus habitat, and the Majungasaurus as well. Very cool looking, but a better way to take a look would be to get them out of the package, so let's do that now. So there we go guys, we got them all out of the packages now, and we can take a look at these amazing booklets that PNSO always includes. You can see a very cool looking honestly a misty type of a background, which again gives me a very strong Chinese type of a feel for that habitat type of a look, and wow, does that look awesome. Once again, the artwork of PNSO just absolutely astounding, so beautiful, always incredibly impressive. The Ampelosaurus, you can again see a very desert-like habitat, and oh, that's actually quite amazing. That's really impressive. I didn't quite expect it to be that cool looking when I opened it. Kind of blew me straight out of the water. That is just fantastic artwork of the Ampelosaurus. And the Majungasaurus, which is actually one of my favorite theropods. You can see a very nice semi-desert, semi-forested type of a look for the habitat. And oh man, that's awesome. I absolutely love that picture. Majungasaurus is such a cool dinosaur, and that artwork is fantastic. So beautiful booklets once again. The figures look really quite cool from this distance, but the only way to really tell how cool they are is to get a closer look, so let's do that now. We will start with the Wuerhosaurus, which as you can see is a relative of Stegosaurus, a Chinese relative. Looking up here at the head sculpt, it's very small but very nice looking. You can see the mouth and the eye area is really nicely sculpted. The eye is beautifully painted, nothing more than a very dark black coloration, but it looks very nice. And again, see the same on this side. See a little bit of a dark coloration has been added to the top of the head there, a dark, almost like a black or a very dark green. Looks very good. You can see a little bit of hanging skin here in the throat. Amazing how much detail they put into such tiny figures. You can also take note of all sorts of skin creases and folds in the skin as you run down the course of the neck, and the plates start to form up here on the upper part of the neck. Very nicely done detail on the actual plates themselves, and there's kind of a nice gloss to really bring your attention to the plates that you can see as I turn this. It really quite nicely shines and really puts your attention straight on those plates, makes them just jump out at you. Beautiful sculpting of the skin detail all over the place. Looks really nice. You can see the shoulder blade is protruding from the skin a little bit there. Beautifully elaborated, exactly as it probably should look without being shrink wrapped. You can also take note of the rib cage there and the stomach, and some very nice hanging skin, some loose skin sort of right there in the stomach region. Coming down into the leg, you can see it is in a nice stepping position. It's stepping forward. Sculpt looks pretty darn nice. You can definitely get an idea of the musculature here of the front leg. And then we move up here into the upper part of the stomach, into the back area. Very nice sculpt work as far as the skin detail goes and the skin texture. All sorts of different greens have been included. Very nice and very subtly, gradually changing into each other. Beautiful skin tone. Very nice musculature here in the thigh of the rear leg. As we run down the leg, you can see the calf muscle is very nicely elaborated. Beautifully sculpted. The feet look good on this side, and you can see it just very gradually transition into a brown on the feet and the lower legs. I think that looks very nice, very natural looking. I really like the way the skin has been sculpted here in the thigh area. I think that looks very reminiscent of a very large animal. So it's honestly beautifully done. And then the skin detail also looks really, really nice as we run out the length of the tail. There are all sorts of creases and folding of the skin, and the tail is slightly curved, ever so slightly curved. And then you can see the spikes here on the tail also look really nice. There is some beautiful sculpt work that has actually been included as far as the very small cracks and crevices within the spikes, and the paint on them also applied. It looks very good, very natural, and quite real. Again, looking at this side, you can see that darker color there up on the upper part of the head. Very nicely sculpted leg and foot here in the front here. It's taking a step, it's up in the air a little bit. Really looks beautiful, looks exactly as it should for the movement that is occurring with that leg. And you can again see some very nice kind of loose skin here in the stomach hanging a little bit, some skin folding. You can also take note of the rib cage on this side as well. Beautiful skin texture all throughout the sculpt of this figure. And once again, taking a look here at the plates, you can see they are basically a nice, almost like a caramel type of a brown. And there are some brown stripes, like a darker, almost a burnt umber type brown throughout. Looks very good. Beautiful kind of creases throughout the skin, all throughout the upper stomach into the hip area. And again, the skin texture and the way the skin appears in the thigh looks very reminiscent once again of a very large animal. Really, really love the way that that's done. And you can once again take note of the gradual transition into that brown on the legs. The foot once again looks beautiful on this side. Very nice skin creases and skin folds here in the back of the thigh area connecting to the tail. You can again see the skin kind of being pulled as this leg is stepping forward. And then you run the length of the tail out to those beautiful spikes once again that are here at the end of the tail. The underbelly also has some very, very nice sculpt work included, and there's actually a pretty nice wash that's been included here on the underbelly to really bring out all that detail and make it look very real and alive. I think this paint scheme is really beautifully done. It's not overly flashy, but very natural and very realistic looking, and I definitely really, really like this figure. Then we move to what is the very first sauropod, I believe, that we've had in these minifigures at all, aside from the baby Amargasaurus anyway. I don't recall there being any other sauropods, so this is a pretty exciting moment here. Taking a look here at the Ampelosaurus, look at that head sculpt. That is just fantastic. I really, really like that head sculpt. There is some very nice detail included. The mouth looks really, really cool. He kind of has a very grumpy look to him. The eye appears to be painted really nicely. And even on that small, tiny head, they've found a way to include a little bit as far as color tone goes, and gradually changing into variations of color throughout the entire head sculpt, and even to the underside of the neck turns into a light brown kind of. I think that looks really, really nice, and you can see that there is a nice wash included in this figure, again making it look super realistic. As you start to come down the neck, you can see all sorts of creases in the skin. Beautiful detailing the entire way down this very long sauropod neck. And then you get down here into the upper part of the back, you start to see some of those spikes that the Ampelosaurus is very well known for, and that very armored type of a look, which is one of the reasons this sauropod is so interesting and so cool looking. I think that they are really nicely sculpted, the entire area up here on the back. Look how fantastic that looks. It's neat just in general to get an Ampelosaurus because we don't really get too many figures of those, so it's awesome to actually have one here. From PNSO, of course, who would be the ones to create such an obscure species of sauropod. You can see here in the shoulder blade is very large. The whole shoulder area looks huge. And then coming down, some beautiful skin detail and skin texture, all sorts of creases in the skin. You can kind of see the way the skin is folding here in the joint of the front leg. It looks very real, very good the way it should be moving. And that beautiful wash that has been included is really bringing out the detail quite nicely. All throughout, you can see all those very large, it really looks like a very large dinosaur. The cracks and creases in the skin that look very dark. Looks really beautiful, honestly, but exactly what I would expect on a large sauropod like this. All sorts of skin folds here, coming up into the back. Looks really, really nice. I love the detailing here of the skin on this rear leg here, the back leg. Beautiful detailing the whole way down into the very nicely sculpted foot. Once again, that great wash really bringing out the detail everywhere on this figure. And that dark coloration really looks great with this green. The green they chose looks really, really nice. And you can see all kinds of creases in the skin and all sorts of cracks and crevices the entire way out that very nice long and curved tail. Taking a look again at the head sculpt on this side, looks really, really nice. The head is seriously so tiny. So for them to be able to pull off that kind of sculpt, you can even see the nostrils there. That kind of sculpt and detail, and look how nicely painted the eye is. It's absolutely perfect on something that is this insanely small is beyond impressive. As you run down the neck, you can again take note of those beautiful creases all throughout the skin, coming down into the neck, and then down here into the shoulder. That very large shoulder again, beautifully sculpted front legs. It's got a nice curve to it. Very nice detail here in the joint. You can see again the skin folding with the way the leg is moving. Beautiful armored type of a look up here on the back. That wonderful detailing here of the side of the stomach, again with those very large creases, cracks, and crevices all throughout the stomach with that dark wash included inside, just giving it a very large, realistic animal type of an appearance. All sorts of loose and hanging skin here. You can kind of see the rear leg pushing and bunching the skin up here in the stomach region. Very nice attention to detail. And again, that beautiful leg sculpt here on the rear leg. All sorts of fantastic creases in the skin as you run down the entire leg. Once again, the skin detail and the skin texture really looks like what you would see on a large animal, something I would 100% expect to see on a large sauropod. You can see the skin kind of pulling here as this leg is stepping forward, coming from the tail, and then we run out the length of this very long tail. Those beautiful creases with that dark wash again, really bringing out the detail and making it pop but look very realistic. And even the underside just looks fantastic as far as the detailing goes, and that wash really does a great job of bringing the detail out on the underside as well. So fantastically done. This Ampelosaurus is awesome. And then we've got the Majungasaurus, so one that I am super highly excited about reviewing. You see the head sculpt looks fantastic, and there is a light coloration around the eye to really make that darker area of the eye pop so much more so to you. You can see the teeth are pretty nicely sculpted. They are not painted, but they're super small, so it would be really tough to get in there and paint those. And there's also a reddish coloration up here on the top. You can see that signature Majungasaurus type of a horn or crest right there. It's really nicely sculpted. Looks fantastic. And again, just right here in the head, you can see a few different variations of color. So beautiful skin tone on the overall head of this Majungasaurus. Once again, this side as well, you can see that light coloration around the eye and the dark black eye. Very evil and mischievous type of a looking eye. The teeth are nicely sculpted there. Beautiful detailing and sculpt of the face. As you start to run down the neck, you can see some of those very nice osteoderms starting to take form here in the neck. The back actually has a kind of a gloss to it, really making it shine quite a bit and pop, really drawing your attention to this figure. Nicely done detailing as far as the minute details in the neck and the neck sculpt. We come down, you can see the shoulder blade is fairly nicely elaborated from the skin. I love that the hands gradually change from that green that is the majority of the body to this darker coloration, again making the hands stick out and pop a little bit more so to you. You can also see that the back here is a darker green, and then it transitions very gradually and naturally to a lighter green, and then an even lighter coloration for the actual underbelly. You can actually even see up here that there's a little bit of a lighter brownish green on the underside of the throat and jaw. Very nicely done skin texture here in the stomach region. Again, you can take note of those osteoderms all over the place. Slightly, you can take note of the hip area there and the calf. You can see the skin kind of being pulled here as this leg is stepping forward. Very nice calf muscles there. Nicely sculpted foot that's kind of on like a peg here, just to keep it balanced and stop it from falling over or warping. And then you run out the length of the tail, and there's some very nice creases and cracks and crevices in the skin throughout the entire tail. Very nicely done. There isn't too much in the way of color that's really included in the Majungasaurus, but for the majority you can see it's just this green with a few different hints of other greens. There's like this darkish, blackish green here up on the face, and then there's a few little lines here throughout, just giving it a little variation of color, but again, very realistic looking coloration. The head sculpt looks really, really cool on this side. Again, that red up on the top really sets the tone for the head, really makes that whole head area pop to you. And there's that darker coloration down here on the face, a few different tones of color throughout. We get into the neck, you start to see those osteoderms picking up, and the creases in the skin. Really nicely sculpted skin detail and texture. The shoulder blade is again protruding from the skin a little bit here on this side. There's that beautiful transition to that darker coloration in the hand. And the skin texture in the stomach really, really looks nice. I think it looks so realistic. Very beautiful work as far as that goes. You can see the skin pulling a little bit here as the left rear leg is stretched back while it's stepping. And right here you can see the skin being stretched. Beautiful attention to detail. The hip bone is somewhat elaborated there, and you can again get an idea of the skin texture here in the thigh. Beautiful calf muscle there as we run down the leg. Very nice bird-like feet, exactly as they should look. Really beautiful. You can even actually take note, if you look at the opposing foot over there, of the dew claw being present. And then looking here at the tail, you can again get a nice idea of that beautiful skin texture as we run out the length of the tail. And once again, you can take note of the beautiful way that this has been painted. Very realistically and naturally. Everything just looks like body color, not paint, and I think it overall looks really, really nice. I love the dark gradual transition here of the darker coloration on the hands and arms, and then here on the legs as well. This is included with a base. The base is nothing more than a very smooth area just to basically balance the dinosaur out, but I think it looks very good. As far as a size goes on these minis, and again, they are minis, so they're very small. For the Wuerhosaurus, from the head to the tail, you're looking at almost 3.5 inches or about 9 centimeters in length. And for a height, it's very, very small, about 1.5 inches or a little bit under or right around 4 centimeters. For the Ampelosaurus, from the tail to the head, you're looking at about 3.75 inches, almost 4 or about 10 centimeters. And for a height, he's actually one of the smallest minis I think that there is. You're looking at about 1.25 inches or a little over 3 centimeters. So again, very, very small, but a really beautiful sauropod, that one. And for the Majungasaurus, on a length, you're looking at about 3 and almost 3.5, in between 3.25, 3.5 inches, or about 8.5 centimeters. And for a height, the highest point is definitely the tail, about 2.75 inches or about 7 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is our buddy the Papo Rex, completely dwarfing these minis as he always does. But once again, this is so impressive. Every single time I show the image here of, or well, I guess video, but the video of the Rex next to these minifigures, to look at these up close and see just how insanely nicely detailed and painted they are. And then you actually see here a wide shot of how small they actually are compared to the Papo Rex. It honestly impresses me every single time, so I'm sure it impresses you, and if it doesn't, it should, because it is really, really amazing to me. So 3 more amazing minifigures from PNSO down, and we've only got 1 more review of these minifigures to go. But let's focus on these 3, as these are 3 beautiful looking figures. You've got the Wuerhosaurus, which is a very obscure species, one that doesn't get too many figures, and as of right now, I think the only 2 that have ever made them would be, of course, Vitae, who previously released one, and then you've got PNSO right here with their version. Of course, the PNSO is a mini, but I honestly think it is just beautiful. Everything about that figure is fantastic. I think the paint looks so real and very natural. The sculpt is great. I love any dinosaur from the Stegosaur family, so this one was pretty much destined to win my heart, but it really looks beautiful. Then you've got the Ampelosaurus, which I really wish there would have been more sauropods in these minis, because that one is just unbelievably nice. It really is just an absolute beauty. I love the dark wash that's been included, and the sculpt overall is just fantastic. And it's really nice in general to get a figure of the Ampelosaurus, since it is so obscure and a dinosaur that for some reason just kind of gets looked over more often than not. So I definitely am super excited about PNSO releasing that Ampelosaurus. And then you've got the Majungasaurus, which is another surefire win, a beautiful theropod, and one that in my opinion is also really quite overlooked most of the time and doesn't really get its due, so it's nice to see it get a figure here, even if it is in mini form, from PNSO. I'll keep my fingers crossed that at some point they make a larger scale Majungasaurus, because I am a huge fan of Majungasaurus, so it'll be really cool to go ahead and see that being done. but this figure itself is really beautiful as well. Very nice sculpt and detail. The paint all looks just as natural as it does on the other two on this one, and overall I like the pose that it's in, and the sculpt, the paint, everything just looks fantastic. So these are 3 more absolutely fantastic minifigures from PNSO that I really truly highly recommend, and I think anybody that has been a fan of any of these previous PNSO minis should definitely get on buying, because all 3 are surefire wins. I will include links in the description to each and every one of these on the Amazon PNSO store, so head on over there, purchase yourself some of these amazing minifigures, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.